Three, two, one. Hey, hey, hey! It's Fad Albert. Welcome to Elk Radio. This is Ian Kebblewhite, show number 5. What a fun, but informative, and I think really valuable show we've got in store for you today. And as part of this Elk Radio, I want you to know that what we talk about and how it comes to you is a live recording. It's not preset. We certainly have a topic in mind. We're not going to engage with you and waste your time. But it's about just talking and communicating about what we really believe in. And hopefully it comes through. I'm sure it does in terms of what we're here to talk about and what we're here to address as important topics to our Elk members. And look, I hope you don't think I'm talking shit when I'm on the radio here, but we believe in what we do, especially when it comes to helping people achieve the life they deserve and doing it at the pointy end where it really matters, when it comes to money and finances. And often people don't want to talk about that kind of stuff or really look at it because there's so much more to life. There really is. But it's where the rubber meets the road. It's what allows you to have what you want or need to provide for you and your family. So you need to get across it. You need to have control of it, or you need to know how to, so you can get the best from life, because this is the world we live in. It's driven by financial costs, financial reward. If you want to do something, it's going to cost you X because someone's providing a supply and you want to use that. Well, it's going to cost you money. And so the more you want to use, the more you've got to pay, so the more money you need. Or if you're happy with your life being one that doesn't incur what it costs, that's great. But it still doesn't mean you don't be aware and be across and have the knowledge of what you need to do when it comes to finances, because you need to be able to provide for yourself. And the world is not cheap. Australia is an expensive place to live. And so the cost of living does hit home and really does claw at our bank account and claw at our hip pocket, those hard-earned money, that hard-earned money we bring in from our personal exertion. It can really fly out the door. And I know at the moment, if you're not working or your incomes are reduced, that's hurting even more because costs don't go away. You might be able to defer them, but they don't go away. So the why of Elk Radio is to be able to talk through topics that we see on a daily basis. We have some 4,100 odd members within our Elk app, and that's across the Elk group of businesses. And therefore, it means is we see a lot of information come through based on people making inquiries, looking for assistance, looking for advice. And that, if you actually look at it, and you look at the Australian population as a whole, nearly 90% of all people could get the same kind of information delivered to them, and it would all hit home. Of course, when you profile that information, most incomes, assets, liabilities, goals, they're similar. And you can profile it. And then from that profile, you can really start to make sure that you're delivering a message to many that makes sense and that at least in part or in all, they can take value from. So with that, that's where we are today. We're going to talk about a variety of different things. But with the real purpose of getting to the point of talking about how to buy property and how to sell property. And when it comes to buying property, well, that's a very significant process. And we'll touch on that. But what I do want to talk about is, especially at the moment, where we've got a lot of information occurring in the market, where there's a lot of information daily. It's very interesting. You could sit back at the moment and sit back and see the news, ABC News, like I have running in my office. We've got different news feeds. ABC's very interesting at the moment because there's just so many different topics coming at you. And certainly it's interesting, but look, it's simply about the news, grabbing headlines and pushing that out. And some of it's worth taking on. Some of it, through the net of what you absorb, just needs to be let through and needs to be able to be passed through because it's just not relevant. Some of it's just for the sake of it, such as the reporting and the expectation of what's happening in the market and that it's going to be a rebound and it's going to bounce back, and that's just a load of rubbish. It's not going to happen like that. We're at the start of a marathon. And that's why how to buy property is important, but how to sell property and how to do it properly using, for example, referencing a recent media release. So Elk Realty were part of a recent media release, and our Elk fixed game changer that it is was the topic of that media release. And it is a game changer when it comes to the real estate industry, because for too long, agents with their big photos on the signboard or their photos that promote them, not so much the house as much as it should, it's something about them marketing their profile in a lot of respects. They've rode the wave, ridden, not the wording, rode the wave of property value increase over the last 20 odd years, and been paid a commission commensurate to that increase, but the work's very much the same. And look, Purple Bricks, they had a good word for it. It was called commisery. And it is. If you're overpaying commissions to agents, and I've been through these properties, I've been through a variety of different homes because I love property as an asset, and certainly we've bought and owned our fair share of assets that are property assets over our time, over our life in my household. And so with that, seen and experienced the whole spectrum of real estate agents, had some really good dealings where people genuinely get to know you, understand you, and then go to work to facilitate an outcome that's a win-win. Then you've got others when you walk in, and within about 5 minutes of walking through the property, they go, so what do you think it's worth? Or what do you want to offer for it? Or do you want to make an offer? Well, mate, you haven't asked me anything about the property, you haven't got to know me, you haven't found anything out about me, and you haven't overcome any of my objections before you're asking me for the close. So, well, it's very interesting because the barrier to entry to real estate isn't that high. Certainly to be very good, and certainly to do it differently. Well, that's where you separate the wheat from the chaff. You separate the best from the rest. And Elk Realty has a model, a fixed fee plus game changer that will change the game. And we're already seeing that. I just want to say hats off to Elise, our head of Elk Realty, who just in the last 24 hours has obtained a record sale price for a beachfront property. So under contract, beachfront property at Palm Beach for $3.75 million. So that's a fantastic outcome. That's a testament to how we do things. Now, our fixed fee plus model has the open market in mind, where we certainly have the mass of the market we cover with that. And then there's the Royal Elk. So our fixed fee plus, but the Royal Elk model. So anything that's top end, where you need a gas mask, you need an oxygen mask to breathe. The air's thin up there in terms of the price point. In that top end, we have our Royal Elk model, which is fixed fee with a performance-based outcome, so a commission or remuneration based on negotiation. And that means it's more money back in the pocket of the owner. So let's not talk about that now. Let's focus on the fixed fee plus model. The fixed fee plus model, where how to sell property. And as I said, it's going to be a bit of a fun show. And I started off with Fat Albert. He's someone that I remember as a kid. And as a kid, with my family, we remember travelling to Port Macquarie when my grandparents lived and holidaying there. And my nan had this beautiful copper table, had this joint in the middle, and there was one of those coffee tables that slide open and have this treasure chest of all these things. And in a lot of instances, it was these videos. Herbie, Fat Albert, and as a kid, I used to love watching that. And that just instantly, when I had the Fat Albert theme in mind, it made me think of that. And hopefully it made you think of something that you've enjoyed in your past, in your life. And then back to the how to buy and how to sell property. Even just talking, I'm more pumped about talking about how to sell property, because how to buy property, that's a real specific process, and it goes through firstly mapping out the business case of what you want to achieve if it's an investment, and then if it's a lifestyle asset, well, that's all about what makes you, what's the word my wife has for it? It's kind of that butterfly moment, or that instant feeling when you walk in and you don't feel anything. This feels fantastic. This is the great Australian dream. And so I think to do it justice, I'm going to really talk about the great Australian dream of buying that forever home in a separate radio show, because it's something that hits home for everyone. And there's so much involved, because often the great Australian dream involves finance, and they go hand in hand. And that process is so involved at the moment. Do not deal with the banks directly is my first comment. just don't do it. You're wasting your time, or all you're doing is dragging out a process. It can be done better. And in my next radio show, we're going to talk about what Elk is doing and what we're doing differently. But for today's show, let's agree then, because I've come to that conclusion myself, and I'm the host here, that I think the maximum value, and it's about the why as to what can I do to deliver the maximum value to our members, is how to sell property and how to do it differently, because I've had enough of seeing the same old model of, yeah, look, I'm an agent, I'm going to come in and appraise your home, I'm then going to charge you X amount, maybe 2.75% or thereabouts, more in some instances, to sell that property through a sales program on the best, because one, my number plate says so, and two, I've done a certain amount of listings and sales in this location, all generally over time. By the way, here's my photo. Yeah, I look good, don't I? Yeah, you do. You're a sexy man. I'm not talking about myself, by the way. In terms of that, well, I've had enough of that model, and I think Australians have too, and if they haven't, they should, because the word from Pebble Bricks was, right, it is commisery, and there's a better way of doing it. It's a smarter way of doing it, because the world is changed. The world has changed, and the up and down seesaw of the economy, and it's going to be a long burn. It's not going to be a bounce back. The economy is in a dire situation, and whatever the government says about how well it's going to recover, it's not. This is about seeing things for what they are, and that doesn't change the fact that you should be taking action and doing things at the point in time, because there are a lot of reasons to do that. But you need to be able to see it for what it is, so you understand the risks, understand the opportunities, and then can mitigate and take advantage of what they are. So with that, how to sell property the real way is Elk and our fixed fee plus model. Elk is a way to sell property to deliver you the best net return. Elk delivers you the best net return when it comes to dealing with property anyway. When it comes to managing a client's property capital, so property is an investment. That's property capital. That's $500,000 of your money. It's not just a property asset. So yeah, we want to make sure that it's kept to its high standard and that all the right things are done in relation to repairs and maintenance. But property managers, remember, most property managers are a standalone real estate office. They get audited maybe once a year formally, quarterly along the way, perhaps, depending on how their auditor acts. And it's one enterprise that often has some borrowings attached to their property management book. Did you know that? So most real estate agents will lend against their real estate book to access money for working capital and things like that. They rely on commissions. And through that, there's some really good agents. I know of a number of them. I've dealt with a number of them recently. But that model is tired. And why I say that is when it comes to Elk is the collection of licenses we have and how we look at things. We see that as not only a property, but we see that as someone's capital, their investment. And it needs to be treated like that. Everything needs to be done based on a return on investment basis. We need to check and test everything against the return on investment. So before any costs are incurred, before an electrician heads out, we're always looking at it in terms of making sure that you're informed, you're across it, you approve it. It doesn't matter if it's $10, $100, or $1,000, because that affects your return on investment. At the same time, we certainly care about the quality of the asset, the property, the tenant. Absolutely. There's empathy there that needs to be. It's got to be a win-win-win relationship. So when it comes to property capital management, what you'll find in the market at the moment is most agents charge like 7.5%, maybe up to 8.5% all up, or 8.25% total cost of management. That's a big hit out of your pocket, wouldn't you say? It comes out of your rent, which they pay monthly. Do you think it's a better way than that? Seriously, as an investor, that it's your property, yeah, it's getting managed, and there's some good managers out there. But there are some other managers that just do it and let it kind of sit in the background and react at a minimum. There is a better way. And what it looks like is this. Elk is a way for you to get the best net return from your property. How? Well, first we pay rent weekly. Our fees are 6.75% as our property management fee. So 6.75% as the property capital management fee. That's to collect the rent, to pay the rent, as compared to 8.25%. That's a significant difference. If you look at it from a percentage, it's a far way cheaper, a far greater, it's a very good saving, and it's a far lower amount, is what I meant to say. The percentage saving is significant to you. So you're getting, in our view, because of our collection of licenses and the expertise we have against the overall transaction as to what it is. It's a property as an asset, it's capital, it's your money. We look at it with not just through one lens, but with our eyes wide open and the full spectrum of vision being applied to that asset. So from there, you're getting a superior service. You're getting more money in your pocket and you're getting it more regularly. And we haven't even talked about how to sell property. I'm just talking about our why and how we're a way to put more money back in your pocket and deliver you a better net return. When it comes to managing a portfolio of assets, we manage a significant portfolio from northern New South Wales, the Kingscliff, right up to Sunshine Coast, out to Ipswich, to Toowoomba, that triangle, which as a metropolis, that collection of cities, towns, regional centres, as a collection is becoming a metropolis that on its population growth, at least prior to COVID, was on track to rival Melbourne and even overtake it, surpass it. So we manage properties in that total area in a very significant portfolio. They're the beneficiaries, those owners are the beneficiaries of those sharper property management fees, only 6.75%, and in some respects lower, but prices have to move. And so at 6.75%, in line with the cost of running a business, providing a service with multiple managers, the level we do, our fee is 6.75%. And as compared to what people pay in the open market of some 8.25%, it's a significant amount lower. It's significantly lower as a percentage. Who's the beneficiary there? You. More money, more real cash back in your pocket because we pay rent weekly and we take less out of it in the form of our management fee. Automatically, that makes sense, doesn't it? You're an investor. So as an investor, shouldn't lowering cost be important to you? And therefore, shouldn't more money more regularly in your pocket be important to you? Because often attached to a loan is a borrowing. And if most investors look at their portfolio, there's probably some home loan as well. So in your home loan, putting more cash flow more regularly through your home loan will help you reduce your interest costs, at least on a daily basis, as long as that money sits there. Because interest is calculated daily and debited monthly from a loan. What I'm saying is, there's no way in the world that our property capital management program, our Elk Realty property management, isn't superior on the numbers as compared to your incumbent property manager. And if they match that, well, we'll do even better. Because our commitment is to help you achieve the best net return. So with that, I'd encourage you, look at your rental statements. How much are you paying? How much is that costing you? Compare it to what our fees are. And then compare the understanding we have to a person's total financial world, our expertise, the fact we have audits across all of our businesses, 3 times a year minimum, on the Australian Financial Services Licence and the Australian Credit Licence and the Real Estate Licence. And what you've got is significant infrastructure that is far superior than a local real estate office who's managing a trust account. Because we also have a trust account with all that other infrastructure behind it. So it's a safer move as well. It's a smarter move. So please reach out to Elk. Allow us to do a review for you. Let's assess how much you're paying compared to what we can do. Allow us to put a proposal to you. Express interest. Send a quote. Okay? We'd love to have you on board. And this is what we'll do. And this is where it'll make the difference. This is where it'll save you money. And at the moment, every dollar counts. And it should anyway because it's an investment. But off that now, how to sell property. How to sell property with the Elk 6B Plus model. So as a comparison, if you're selling a house at the moment, you have an agent come in, no matter how good they are, how sharp they are, how good they look. They're going to come in, they're going to offer you to sell your home, then charge you a rate, a commission rate, and then to sell it within a period of time. They may have access to systems or experience that helps them determine what the value of that property is. Look, what I find is most listings, when they put the market above what they're worth, and that's just the way it is. And through a process, I don't mean that's right, it's just what happens. I've seen properties come on. I saw a block of land come on around the Gold Coast Southern Beaches. I won't be too specific here. It's on the side of a hill. Got some views, but ask me some. Well, I won't be specific. I'll give you a number that's very similar. 14XX dollars. And I thought, and that's $1.4 million. I thought, no way in the world is that asset worth that. No way in the world. Because our business is about finance, investments, data, understanding that data, property. We process that much data, it blows someone else's brains out. A real estate agent, if any other real estate agent had to process the amount of data information that comes my way, their head would explode. Seriously, it would just explode. So we have the expertise and the data and the system to properly value what that property is worth and then apply a sales program that gets the job done. Of course, we've shown it. We've shown it over and over again with our Elk Realty business that we have genuine expertise, and then when it comes to presentation, negotiation, salesmanship, and what's required to close and transact on a successful outcome, that's a win-win for all parties. That's what we do best. Because for us, it's about a relationship, not a transaction. It's about a relationship that allows us to continue to work for you and with you across your entire world, not just that one property sale. So next time you're thinking about selling your home, you need to think Elk, because I've just started on what's wrong with the way things are done at the moment. I haven't started on how we do things. So the Elk Fixed Fee Plus model, what it looks like is this. When we meet you, we're going to get to know you. We're going to understand that asset. We're going to go through it in detail. We're going to use our expertise and put then a valuation to it that is definitely about getting you the highest and best outcome, and definitely not leaving any money on the table. We're going to make sure, though, we're accountable for it. How? So our Fixed Fee Plus model, how that works is, first we're going to save you let's just say it, we're going to save you a shitload of commission. We're going to save you a massive amount of commission, because what we charge is a fee. Now, the Fixed Fee Plus model, I'll explain in just a sec. The fee is stage one, $2,750 for our marketing and our media, our Elk Media package, where we'll put together for you a media program or a media package, and it's a program that goes through and puts your property and markets it to the highest standard, to the absolute highest level possible for that property and any property, especially when you consider the budget. It's certainly well and truly above what you pay for it as to what you'll get. So it's an Elk Media package, gets it listed on all the mediums and gets it maximum exposure. Significant maximum bang for dollar, bang for buck. Stage two is success. So stage two success fee, we get it sold, is $9,900 only. So $2,750 plus $9,900. As compared to some 3-odd%, the savings are significant. It's into the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Let me tell you though, there's no difference in the service or experience. But where it really starts to become technical and the pressure points are right. So what happens is our Fixed Fee Plus model, when we meet you, we'll go through a process of discovery and make sure then that we properly value that property and agree on that valuation and appraisal price for our appointment form. We'll then agree on a listing price and how we're going to market that. But that appraisal, that valuation is important. Of course, we've had to make sure we get it right. We haven't had to win your listing on telling you to get you something that's not achievable. We've got it right because that's what it's worth. And when it gets you every dollar. And then we go to work. We get it marketed with the Elk Media, the best program possible that goes against any of the big names. Because if you're in a big name firm, do you need a big name behind you to get the outcomes? Or how would you stand up by yourself? How would you go by yourself? Well, I can tell you now, as Elk, we kill it. I mean that because we get superb outcomes for our members. Our customers and clients are happy. Our members are very, very happy. And we're a business that's been in place since 2005. Of course, we're very good at what we do. And our focus is always best interest of the customer, best interest of the client, best interest of our member. What happens from that is a byproduct. Now, we go through and we get it done. We get the negotiation done. We get it sold within a time frame. Because how do we get that valuation? Well, we use all the data of our banking level systems to give you that valuation. And then we look at the average disposal time and what it takes to sell that property. And we build a program to that disposal time frame. And we know what needs to be done, what triggers need to be taken, what levers need to be pulled at what stage to continue to push it and push it and push it. So you get the best outcome, you get it done within that disposal time frame. So you've then got a measurable outcome. So you've got the ability to turn an illiquid asset like property, which has a sales program and normally at the disposal time frame of X months, you can now start to hang your hat on that and work on that, because the data and the information combined with experience and just being honest and getting to the bottom of things means that we get it right. It allows you to plan and know your next move. But where we pride ourselves is as a merchant bank business. Merchant banks, back in the old 1700s, 1800s, they were based on success. They'd meet you, they'd find out what you want to do, and then we go, let's put it together. And they'd put it all together, and they'd bring it all together, bring everyone to the table, and then complete. And on success at merchant bank, we get paid. Well, that's our performance. And in Elk Realty, that's our outperformance. So we'd have a performance fee. So on the basis, back to that valuation, we value the property correctly that you're happy with to list with us, and you know that it's what it's worth. On the basis we outperform that when it comes time to negotiate and sell. So let's say the appraisal val is $700,000. And let's just say then that through our expertise and the pressure points being right. So can you see the pressure points are right here? Rather than the way it's been done previously, where there's no pressure points like this, the accountability is different. It's all upside down. It's the wrong way out. It's the wrong way around. How we do it is right. We go and we get the valuation done, and we make sure it's worth that. And obviously, you'll be satisfied with that to live with us. So we're not leaving any money on the table. But it holds us accountable, because then for us to get access to the performance fee, which is anything we get above that through our negotiation and sales process, that makes us accountable. So then the next pressure point is by us working our backside off, communicating, negotiating, giving you everything you need to help you, because often selling a property is to give you a financial reward or to deal with something or to move on to your next great Australian dream, your forever home. We work our backsides off to achieve that, and then anything we get above that appraisal, we get 7.5% as a commission rate. So that's where it's the right way around. So let's just say the appraisal valuation through all our data points and information is $700,000. And we get you $750,000 or $725,000. Anything above that, say, let's say $720,000. Well, for that extra $20,000, we get a commission rate of 7.5%. It's only $1,500. But that's the performance fee. So you compare that model, what I've just described, to any other agent, and I'd love the opportunity to talk to them. I'd invite them onto Elk Radio, and let's thrash it out as to why they think what we're doing is not superior, and how what they're doing is, and how what they're doing is in the best interest of the customer, when all it really is doing is getting the same outcome minimum, or maximum, at best they're getting the same outcome, but it's costing you more. Think on that for a while. Please, take it on board, because we want to hear from people at a minimum. Talk to us. If you're looking at selling your property, if you know someone that's positive and wanting you to head, looking to sell their property, then talk to Elk. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't they, when they can get the same outcome minimum in terms of sales they would from any other agent? Minimum, because I know we outperform. Our proof of delivery has always been there. And then it means more money back in their pocket. And in this environment, isn't it about saving money and getting the best net return for you and putting as much money back in your pocket as possible? And if you're not thinking like that, well, you maybe need to look at it and reassess. So guys, look, thank you very much. Thank you for listening. Love to hear from you. Look forward to talking to you soon.